Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, FD for Sage5.tv, and today, now that we've got the Donald, the first Bitcoin president of the Western world, now re-elected, whatever you think about him, just want to use the crypto lens. That's good news, right? For our bag. Let's look at the potential impact, because there are rumors that central banks and some major banks will be permitted to hold Bitcoin and crypto on their balance sheet, and I think that is penciled for 2025, which is a few months from now. So we want to evaluate the potential impact of such moves and whether this is going to be that inflection point for the crypto markets, where we are going to take on traditional markets and maybe drain some liquidity from TradFi. That's what we want to focus in this video. But before I jump into this video, guys, please note that I am not a financial advisor. If you do require financial advice, please approach someone who is trying to give you financial advice. The information I'm going to share with you in this video are just my own opinions, and it's meant for entertainment as well as educational purposes. And this content is also not targeted at UK audiences, because the authorities do deem anything crypto related to be extremely risky. That said, guys, for those from the rest of the world, welcome to Sage5.tv. Please consider subscribing to our channel. We want to grow the channel, and with your help, we know we can achieve that. We are one of the few channels that actually brings you non-copy and paste content, and we don't just regurgitate news that has been reported elsewhere. We try and actually do some research to educate you. We may not be coming here to give you pointers on which token to purchase and stuff like that, but if you follow us, you know, through our crypto public portfolios, the 2K to 100K portfolio and the 15K to 600K portfolio, those were some of the areas we were focusing on to see if you can borrow a page from our book when we're looking at the crypto markets, which projects we're investing in, why, and how we are going about it. Anyway, let's bring it all back to the potential impact of central banks and major international banks if they do indeed start adding Bitcoin and other crypto assets to their balance sheets. Well, the potential inclusion of something like Bitcoin on the balance sheets of central banks and major financial institutions could significantly impact the crypto market's dynamics. To estimate this effect, we will analyze the top central banks, I'm not going to name which ones, and top major banks by assets, assuming they allocate at least 5% of their liquid assets to an asset like Bitcoin. Liquid, there is a difference between assets under management by a bank and liquid assets, as you'll find out. Well, let's start by estimating liquid assets of central banks and major banks. Well, the top central banks, if we use 2023 figures, the combined assets of the 5 largest central banks, here I'm talking of the Federal Reserve of the US, People's Bank of China, the European Central Bank, Bank of Japan, and the Bank of England. Their combined assets exceeded 30 trillion in 2023. Assuming the top 20 central banks hold approximately 40 trillion in assets as of today, and estimating that 15% of these are liquid assets. So it's not all assets that are liquid, but 15% are. The total liquid assets amounts to 6 trillion. So out of the 40, 15%, 6 trillion. That is liquid that can be moved into the digital space. Now, top 50 major banks, here I'm talking of the world's 50 largest banks, held combined assets of approximately 89 trillion. Here I'm using old data. I'm looking back at 2022. And assuming that 15% of these are liquid assets, the total liquid assets amounts to 13.35 trillion. So you can see the top 50 banks will have more in terms of liquid assets compared to 5 leading central banks. Okay? A potential investment in Bitcoin. If these institutions allocate 5% of their liquid assets to Bitcoin, here you are talking of central banks, 5% of 6 trillion equals 300 billion. And major banks, 5% of 13.35 trillion equals 667.5 billion. Now, combined, this results in a potential investment of approximately 967.5 billion into Bitcoin or crypto space. That is still under a trillion. Looking at the impact of Bitcoin market capitalization as a result of such an investment coming into the space, as of November 8th, Bitcoin's market capitalization is approximately 1.4 trillion with a price of approximately 76,000 per BTC. So an influx of 967.5 billion could increase the market capitalization to approximately $2.3675 trillion. That is the market. But we also know that the market capitalization is not in one-to-one. You don't need $1 trillion to increase the market capitalization of Bitcoin by $1 trillion. It does not work like that. But let's just go along with this for simplicity. So assuming the number of Bitcoins in circulation remains, including some that have been lost, say it remains around 18.5 million, the new price for Bitcoin will be approximately 127,432. That is on the conservative end. But you got to make some considerations when you're looking at things like this. So you got to look at market dynamics. Such a substantial investment would likely lead to increased demand for Bitcoin, of course, potentially driving the price higher than the 127,000 we just calculated here due to market momentum and speculative activities. You also have the regulatory environment. The feasibility of central banks and major financial institutions holding Bitcoin depends on evolving regulatory frameworks and institutional policies. So it's not just the government saying, yes, you can now do this. They also need to be the infrastructure to allow these institutions to add Bitcoin and or other crypto assets to their balance sheets. We also have market liquidity. The cryptocurrency market's liquid constraints could amplify price volatility with larger scale investment. So if central banks and major financial institutions allocate 5% of their liquid assets to Bitcoin, it could inject approximately $1 trillion, round it up, $1 trillion into the market, potentially increasing the price of Bitcoin to around 127,432 per BTC as the base level. However, actual outcomes will depend on various factors, including market reactions, regulatory developments, and the overall economic environment. So for those who are saying banks are going to be allowed this and so forth, let's be pragmatic. If that is the case, I can tell you this, I don't think it will be all their assets, because their assets are not all liquid. It's only going to be the liquid asset that will be able to move into the crypto space, into digital assets. And like we've just calculated, it's just under $1 trillion. So food for thought. What I want to know from you guys is if central banks and major institutions were allowed to start holding Bitcoin and other crypto assets on their balance sheets, where do you think this market will go? What do you think the future capitalization of the crypto market will be in the short to medium term? I'm interested in knowing your thoughts. Until the next one, this is FD for Sage5.TV signing out for now. Bye.